Yeah. Come here. All right, I see there's 30 people here. Hopefully you can hear me. There's a chat. Oh, I see a chat. So if you want to pipe in there, make sure I know you're here, and we'll get going in a couple minutes, but hopefully everybody sees the chat. I hope. I wonder if I have to go to the other thing. Oh, there we go. Now I can see the chat. I had to go to a different place. That's cool. All right. Hey, everybody. Hi, 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 hi. How's it going? Ali, thank you. Asher, thank you, Sub. Very nice, very nice. Now, I also have to make sure that I am keeping track of the baseball game because I want the Nationals to win. All right, my friends, it is 7 o'clock. You have a little test tomorrow. Everybody's got the test. You've got a test tomorrow. So what I want you to do is kind of post some questions that you might have. And I think I'm about 10 seconds ahead of you. We have 40 people, which is good. It's half the class. But post some questions, and also make sure you're taking a look at your review guide that's online, which I'm going to show you in just a second. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Lauren. I like all the emojis. They're very fun. All right, so Sarah, who checks the Supreme Court besides the fact that the president chooses the judges? The legislative branch, Congress, can impeach a Supreme Court justice, but only for crimes and misdemeanors, so not for their judgment. So if the president says, hey, I want this person to be on the Supreme Court, and Congress says yes, they're pretty much on for a long time, and they got to live with their decisions. That's the check of the Supreme Court. Checks and balances. Oh, Ellie, there's so many different checks and balances. It's what can Congress do to the president? What can the president do to Congress? What can the president do to the judicial branch? What can the judicial branch do to the president? All those different things. The best thing, honestly, I mean, I could list off a bazillion of them, is to Google checks and balances, hit images, and you will get everything you need to know. Jordan, what exactly is judicial review? Judicial review is the judicial branch reviewing legislative decisions, laws, or the executive branch in determining if they are constitutional. That is the judicial branch's biggest check. So if you need any judicial check on any other branch, judicial review is it. And it's an important one. Audrey, difference between the free exercise clause and the establishment clause. Anybody want to chime in on that on your little chatty chat? It's cool when you answer your own questions. Nobody? All right. Establishment clause is the government cannot promote one religion over another, really not supposed to promote religion at all, and can't demote religion over another. Wally said it perfectly. Oh, now I'm getting all these good. Establishment is the separation of religion and state. It's the separation of church and state. So the government, any government with anything, can't promote one religion over another. Now, there are some limits to that. One I was just thinking of, like just now, is the post office can have a postage stamp with a Christmas tree on it. You've probably seen them. But they can also have them with a menorah. They can have them with a variety of things. That's kind of seen as tradition and it's cultural or anything like that. I don't think you'll see a post office stamp with a little baby Jesus. That's probably not going to happen. Okay? So that's the establishment clause. Government, no religion. The free exercise clause is the government cannot interfere with your exercising of your religion unless you break a law. And those laws can't be to deny you of your religion. So the one we've been talking about a lot is the carrying a dagger if you're a Sikh. That can be limited. They're not trying to limit the Sikh religion. They're saying that, there's got to be safety on planes and things like that. Okay? And Fina's right. Check that First Amendment sheet. That's a good one. President acting as this is Thomas, economic chief, and Congress holding the power of purse and commerce. That's a good question, Thomas. They're kind of hand in hand. The president has to prepare the budget. He's the economic chief. They get blamed or applauded for our economy, but Congress is the one that pulls the purse strings. So they kind of go hand in hand. That's very good. How does the Bill of Rights apply to public schools, Sean? It applies to public schools because public schools are run by the government, and the 14th Amendment says that the Bill of Rights applies to the states. So therefore, it applies to public schools because public schools are run by state and local government. Importance of the power of the purse in Congress, Cole, they control the money. That's the big thing. Money's important. Nico, same thing. Congress has a check on the president where the president sets the budget, but Congress can say, no, I don't think that budget is okay. And they can say no. I think we saw it in one of our classes today. What was it? President Obama wanted $1.9 billion for the Zika virus, and Congress had to say okay. Where are we here? Well, we need to know the names of our senators. No. Aspen, no. Liam, the powers in the judicial branch. The powers in the judicial branch. You mean like there's judicial review? You have to give me something more specific there, pal. How can you tell if something is constitutional, Miranda? That is, do you understand your Constitution? So you got to think about any situation I give you, think about what you know about the Constitution, and does it work? So here's an example, Miranda. Is it constitutional if could this happen under the Constitution? The president sends troops out to Syria to stop an insurrection. And you'd have to think, well, yeah, the president's commander-in-chief, he could do that, or she could do that. I'm not going to get too specific because you'd really have to know a lot about the situation or whatever, but it's more general. It's really about, is your knowledge of the Constitution, can you apply it? Ellie, terminology is a vocab. For the test, Annika, do we need to know the lower federal courts? So the lower federal courts, it goes like this. District courts, I don't know if you can see me because I'm on a delay, but district courts, that's where almost all of them are started. So it's almost like, here's my arm. Then you got your courts of appeals. From a district court, somebody doesn't like it, it goes to the courts of appeals. And then it could go all the way up to the Supreme Court. Those are your federal courts. Francie, should you know all the words on the Quizlet? Yeah, that's going to help you. What's a president? Wally, a president is, I'm thinking you meant precedent. I'm hoping you meant precedent. But a precedent is an example that the Supreme Court sets. Okay? So if the Supreme Court, Wally, says that a law in Texas that said, or that a law in Texas that mean, oh no, I want to phrase this. If the Supreme Court's outlaw, or if the Supreme Court says that a Texas law saying you can't burn the flag is unconstitutional, then that's a precedent, and no state can have a law saying that you can't burn the flag. Ella de Toro, no, you don't have to know the two political parties. Don't worry about that. That was just to explain how the Supreme or the Electoral College is working. Nico, yes, there's multiple choice in the test. There's a whole bunch of different sections. It's like 10 different parts. How will the test be laid out if that is a valid question? I don't know what you're talking about there, Cole. You're a crazy man. What does Congress do with the powers of the purse and powers of the commerce? They pass a lot of laws and restrict the president. They restrict the president with the powers of the purse, and they pass a lot of laws for commerce powers. Does the preamble have to be memorized? You should know the big words. Don't worry about the like ofs and the prepositions or anything, but the big words like establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, that kind of stuff. Will there be long answer writing prompts? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. We got an E de Toro and an E de Toro. So, Ella, you're E, and Eve, you're EV, right? Will you be posting the final video of this? You don't want to watch me again. You guys have seen enough of me. But I think it'll be saved. I don't know. But you should be going to bed. We're good. Asher, can changes be made to the Bill of Rights? How can a change be made to the Bill of Rights? I'm a little ahead of you, but can changes be made to the Bill of Rights? Only with a constitutional amendment. But the interpretation of the Bill of Rights can be changed. Charlie, yeah. Is it done yet? Yeah, it's done. All right, you're going to turn it off and do your homework? All right. Sorry, it's my son. Where in the Constitution do you have the commerce power? That is in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. But it is the big time. That's Congress has the commerce power. Do we need to know the lower federal courts? You should know the district courts just in general, but you don't need to know all the special courts. So Ellie, just the district courts, the courts of appeals, then the Supreme Court. Do you have to know all the checks and balances, Heather Choo-Choo Coleman? No, because I don't know them all. There's a bazillion. You should be able to know how each branch checks each branch. Do you need to know Supreme Court cases, Ali? No. Is there going to be an essay? No. Real world examples. Yeah, I like real world examples. All right. Or, Jordan, recognize a real world example and apply it to the Constitution. Okay. Charlie. Lane Bolton says you need to do the play again. Lane, remember she was in I have Lane and Lauren and Anna Fitzsimmons. They were in Once Upon This Island in the summer a couple years ago. They want you to do a play again. Sorry, Lane. He's a little out of it. Do we need to have any part of the Constitution or Bill of Rights or preamble? Sorry, I don't know what that means. Are there more examples of securing the blessings of liberty than the freedoms of expression and homeland security? Well, what are your blessings of liberty? What secures your freedoms, Sean? Think about all the freedoms you have and what secures those. Should we memorize the powers delegated to Congress? Well, you're going to have the Constitution there, so I don't think you need to, Caroline. You know the general ones. On the constitutional headline sheet, what would the phrase Milwaukee County voters add 0.1% be an example of? I think if you scroll down on that, Sydney, it's got the answers to it, but this would be a good one. So Milwaukee County voters add 0.1% of sales tax. If you have anything with voting, and we didn't really talk about this, but it's pretty easy. Anything with voting is popular sovereignty. The people have the power. Think of sovereign, all right? If it is a tax, if you think about taxing is done at the local level, the state level, and the federal level, so that is concurrent powers. And you could even throw in there that if it's an election or voting, that's all done at the state and local level, that's reserved powers. Does the Bill of Rights only apply to the USA? Yes, Ellie. The division of power between the national government and the state and local government, Lane, that is the Venn diagram. I can't put links in here. I'm not sure why. But that if you Google federalism, it's that, and there's three. I think there's 3 diagrams on your federalism notes. They're like lavender or whatever. That should tell you the difference between those. 12th, 11th, and 13th Amendments, no. I don't know who LOTR Cat is. Lord of the Rings Cat, I don't know. It's kind of fun, though. Sorry, I lost you. Memorize any part of the preamble, Constitution, or Bill of Rights, or can... you should know the preamble. The rest of the Constitution and Bill of Rights are going to be in front of you. It's going to be on your desk. Piece of paper. Irene Howe, going to be a question about the Revolution of 1800? No. In the Fifth Amendment, it says the government has to follow your rules in trial. What does that mean exactly? All right, so the Fifth Amendment says there's due process. So if you think about it, due process means that the government has to have follow rules. There's a list. It's like A, B, C, D, E, F. The government has to tell you of your charges. You have the right to remain silent. You get a jury trial. You get an attorney. You can cross-examine your witnesses. All that. That whole list is due process. Well, we need to know the inauguration speech. No, because I don't. Hey, what were you doing? Come here. It's my dog. How does the Constitution protect and limit our rights? Oh, Anna, that's you tell me. How does the Constitution protect your rights and limit your rights? Is the Vice President the head of the Senate? Yes. The head of the cabinet is the president. Well, hi, Aspen Gail Kozlowski. Vice President, other than being president of the Senate, really the job of the Vice President is up to the president. That's the big thing. Implied powers and the elastic clause are the same thing, yes. Jordan, majority and minority leader, don't worry about it for the test. Nah, not a big deal. Do we get a copy of the amendments? Bill of Rights, yes, you will have a copy of the Bill of Rights. Caroline, in popular sovereignty, real easy. Anytime the people have a voice. So it's, voting. Kala. Where'd you go? For electoral votes, don't worry about Maine and Nevada. I want you to know that because it's interesting and fun and stuff, but it's nothing to fret about the test. Should you know the hats of the president? Well, you should know what they are if you see them. Asher. How does a bill become a law? You have a beautiful white piece of paper, Ali, that outlines how a bill becomes a law. And really, if you want to review it, the easiest thing, dead serious, watch I'm Just a Bill. What is a new court decision? That's if the Supreme Court gets a different court case and they make a different decision. Can you go over the level of power, Ella Martin? Warrior. Like, how is the president? So, okay, real quick, Ella. President, he's not in line for the presidency because he's got it, right? So you got your president, then you got your vice president, then you got your, wait for it, Speaker of the House, then you got your President Pro Tem, then you got the rest of the cabinet. Oh, full faith and credit. Who did I just see that from? Full faith and credit. I gotta scroll up. Margaret, full faith and credit. Really what it says is that the states are supposed to recognize that the other states' decisions are valid and just. So, and there's some wiggle room here too, but if I have a college degree from the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, I graduated from college from a public school in Wisconsin, that Wisconsin says is okay, then Ohio says, okay, that's okay. But there are some things, some wiggles around it, like the license to practice law, the license to practice medicine, the license to be a teacher. But in general, that's what it means. President Pro Tem Porasara, it's more trivia than anything else. Do you have to know the electoral votes of certain states? Absolutely not. Can a bill be unconstitutional? Asher, really good question. Could Congress pass an unconstitutional law? Yes. They could pass a law, and it could go on the books, and it could be enforced, but then if it comes to the courts in a Supreme Court case, it could be considered unconstitutional. It could happen, no problem. Anna Schultz says, cabinet, the cabinet. So you got your president, right? Think about Mrs. Nosbush. Mrs. Nosbush is the president of the middle school. She's got a cabinet. That's all the department chairs. Mrs. Judge for math, Mr. Me for social studies, Dr. Walzak for English. So we kind of run our departments. Like I'm in charge of the social studies department. And then I run that department. So that's my departmental role. But then also I give advice to Mrs. Nosbush. Same thing happens at the national level. President Obama there's a Department of Agriculture. And the Secretary of Agriculture runs the agriculture department and everything under it with all their different stuff, but then also advises President Obama on stuff about agriculture. Okay? Cole, I can imagine you singing that song. It makes me happy. And I like how you guys are answering your questions. Very nice. Thank you, Coley Wooly 9. Do kids have freedom of speech in school? Wait. What if it's an inappropriate or touches on a topic that people are sensitive about? All right, Lauren. If it's inappropriate, if it's obscene, if it's if it's bad words or whatever, that can be limited. But if it's a sensitive topic, not the Supreme Court, but a lot of courts have said that it's okay as long as it doesn't disrupt school. So the big one that we talked about was if there is sort of a day of recognizing the challenges that our LGBT community has, and a guy shows up with a straight pride shirt, that's free speech. You can do that as long as it doesn't cause a disruption. Aspen, how many people are in the cabinet? Well, there's 15 secretaries, 14 and then attorney general. But then there are also people who have a cabinet level rank. So I think the cabinet meetings usually have about 25 people. Eve says, can a law be taken away after it is a law? Yes. Perfect example. Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, passed as a law. If Donald Trump becomes president, one of the first things he does is he's going to have Congress repeal Obamacare. So you can repeal a law. You can take it back. Annika, do you think it would be helpful to know the story of the Bill of Rights to reference it in a long answer question? I would know why we have a Bill of Rights. Do we need to know all the members of the cabinet departments? Nope. If a student's bag is searched, Asher, can that be considered unreasonable? Only if that student was picked out because of a certain reason, or if a person said, "Oh, you've been in trouble before, so I'm going to search your bag every day," that probably would be unreasonable. But if they search everybody's bags because they think there's a gun on campus, that's going to be fine. Yeah. Who said if they have a suspicion? That's what Onyx says. Wally says if a guy has eye drops and his bag smells like weed and he's high, then it's reasonable. Yeah, it's probably going to be reasonable. I didn't know about that. Jordan, incorporation. Incorporation means that the 14th Amendment led to the Bill of Rights applying to the states. So, because remember, the Bill of Rights starts with Congress shall make no law, and it was only supposed to be the national government. The 14th Amendment says that the states and the local governments have to do that as well. It doesn't say it word for word, but that's what the Supreme Court has said. Do we need to know the hats, roles of the presidents? Yeah, you should know that, Ava. Chloe, oh yeah, you weren't there. The amendment process. Honestly, Chloe, easiest thing to do. Where are you? Chloe. Constitution amendment process. If you look at the bar exam graphics, you've got it, but Google amendment process, hit images, that's the amendment process. Everybody, you don't have to type it in, but repeat after me. Amendments are proposed nationally and ratified locally in the states. Aspen, is there something the president can't do even if it is in the Constitution? Nope, not that I know of. How many examples would we need to know for the hats? You should be able to recognize them when you see them. Margaret, commerce power. The Congress has the power to regulate interstate commerce, which gives them a ton of power. Think about it. It lets them set a minimum wage. It lets them regulate, or lets them state that you cannot deny anybody the access to your business because of race or whatever. and a lot of things can deal with interstate commerce. Okay, so it gives them a ton of power. The power of the purse is Congress has the power to control government spending. So President Obama said within the last week that he thinks the United States should go to Mars by 2030. Well, Congress is going to have to say, okay, we'll pay for it. Because in Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7, I circled it, I think, in all of your constitutions. No money can be drawn from the Treasury except for a law by Congress. So it's not like we can just go willy-nilly and pay for stuff. So how do we have a budget? Well, a huge deficit? Well, because we don't manage our money very well. Caroline, the requirement for the government for search and seizure, they got to have probable cause. They can't just say, oh, there's a bunch of kids on the block and there's a drug problem in our neighborhood, so we're going to search everybody's house. But it's reasonable in a public school where if there's a drug problem in school, that they could have a drug sniffing dog go up and down the hallways. So that's really the difference. One of the differences in outside of school and inside of school. Outside of school, especially if it's your house, they got to have a warrant. Will we have the whole Constitution, Cole? Yes. I already printed it out. Yep, Fina, I think everybody answered your question there. Sean says, since we're a private school, could the teachers technically search our bags every day, even if it's not reasonable? I think that would be unreasonable, Sean. So I doubt it. Could we? Yeah, we could, because there's nothing stopping us. That would be unreasonable, though. But what we wouldn't have to do is have private schools have more leeway because it's like a private business. No examples, Tessa, of independent agencies. You don't need to know that. Sorry, if someone was searched due to racial profiling, yes, I would think that would be unconstitutional because they don't have probable cause. That's a good question. That's me saying that. I'm not a federal court justice. And as Wally said, the court would decide. Good call, Wally. Nice job. Francie, implied laws and elastic clause, all the same. Aspen jurisdiction, authority to hear a court case. That's what kind of cases can the federal government hear? Federal court system hear? Michael, legislative branch checking the judicial branch. They can impeach them. They make courts, the lower courts, and they have to confirm judicial appointments. Could a Supreme Court ruling be overturned, Asher, only by an amendment or another court decision? Nobody else can do it. Annika, what do we need to know from the Electoral College notes? You need to know your Electoral College notes. Is there a Quizlet? I didn't make one, but if you search Taft bar exam on Quizlet, there's a bunch of them. Anna, how many examples of limited and protected rights? As many as you can. I'm not going to give you a number. Can anyone search your house without a warrant? Pretty much no. Unless it's in plain sight, like you got a big bay window and they see somebody hurting somebody, they could possibly come in and search. But if it's your house, it's they're going to need a warrant. Michael, impeach means to charge somebody with crimes. And that's what the House of Representatives does. And then the Senate is the one that impeaches. Or I'm sorry, the House of Representatives impeaches. The Senate is the one that has the trial. Do freedom of speech laws apply to charter schools, Maddie? Yes, if they are public funded. Is it possible to impeach a judge from the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court rules it's unconstitutional because it was unreasonable? No. The impeachment, the trial, and the jury it's all done in Congress. So that would be up to Congress to impeach a judge there. So that's a total check of the Congress on the Supreme Court. On all the memes, Miranda, it says pass the bar exam. Is this test our test isn't pass or fail. The actual bar exam to become a lawyer, it is pass or fail. Ella, background on any important documents? No. If a school confiscated a student's EpiPen, the school would be stupid. But is that unlawful search and seizure? I mean, if they thought it was a weapon, man, I don't know what school's going to do that. But yeah, Eileen, I don't think that that's a legit search. Some examples of non-foreign cases that the Supreme Court has jurisdiction to hear. Anything about the Constitution, anything about your rights, anything about disputes between states. How did NYC cops get away with frisking shady individuals on street corners when Rudy Giuliani was mayor? It's a great question, Thomas. I don't know the answer. They can stop and frisk, but I mean, who determines what's shady? That's a good question. Do we need to know both types of jurisdiction? Oh, appellate jurisdiction and original jurisdiction? Not really. That's not a big deal. Don't worry about that. Just know what jurisdiction means: authority. Say we didn't finish the test on time. Would it be able to finish it, or would what we don't finish becomes a 0? Now, Ella Martin. Look at this guy right here. Do I look that mean? It's not a time test. It's just one way for you guys to tell me that you can hit these targets. All right? So don't worry about the time. Tell me what you know. Gabrielle asks, how is probable cause determined? Probable cause is, I think I might have probable cause, but then the courts would determine if it was probable cause. Tessa, explain how a bill becomes a law. Just really, really basic on that. It can be proposed and anybody can come up with the idea, but only a member of Congress can propose it. It's got to go through both houses. It has to be the same thing. Goes to the president can veto it or sign it. If the president vetoes it, Congress can override it. Most bills don't become laws. Asher, examples of exceptions to unlawful search and seizure. I'm trying to think of what I've already said. Stop and frisk. If it's in plain sight, something called inevitable discovery, if they thought they were going to find it anyways. But other than that, especially if they're going to, they can search your car because it's mobile. They can search a boat. But if it's your house, they're going to need a warrant. What are some examples of things you do not need to know on the test? Maddie, you do not need to know my favorite color on the test, although it is Heather Gray. You do not need to know my favorite baseball team, although it is the Detroit Tigers. You do not need to know the name of my dog, although it is Archie. Hey, Archie, come here, buddy. He's not listening to me. You don't need to know anything from your target display before. All you need to know the Constitution. That's the big thing. Can an impeachment of the president be revised by the Supreme Court, Lauren? No. Aspen, yes, there is an actual bar exam. That's what the whole thing is. That's the whole thing. Look up bar exam. It's what a person needs to do to get a law license. Ellie, if you do bad on this test, does it take a big hit towards our, wait, what's that word, Ellie? Starts with a G. I don't know what that word is. Grade? I don't understand that word. For the man in Milwaukee that swore on the bus and got arrested and fined, Cole, what was that example of? Well, that was where your free speech wasn't protected. Congress has the non-legislative powers, FINA. Congress doesn't appoint officials, they confirm appointments. The president appoints. Say an owner of a company interviews an ex-con. Is it unconstitutional to deny him the work just because he is an ex-con? Ella Martin, great question. In the paper today, they're trying to get that little box that you would check off of applications. It's in the paper today. So can they deny somebody work because he is an ex-con? I don't know, because it's in the news right now. It's unknown, but that was in today's paper. You are so smart. Good job. Question. I just can't answer it. Cole had a massive brain fart. Can Peyton Vanden Heuvel take my test for me, Tommy? Depends on how much he gives me. If a police officer performed a bad crime, would he or she may face more intense, worse charges than if someone else were to do it? No, they shouldn't. Because if a police officer did a crime outside of their job, they would be seen as a citizen. What kind of dog do I have? Hey, Char, yeah. Will you bring Archie over here? Archie. Hi, Matthias. Here, buddy. Here, grab him. Get his ball. Come here. Come here. Give me a treat. Well, give me another one. Arch, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Here. Say hi to these people. Can you see right there? Right there. So this is the dog that I think Francie sees me walking like every morning. All right, get out of here. Where was I? Sorry about that. Can you give me a quick example about how the Constitution applies to real life? Well, that's all those articles that we saw all day, and how it affects you, your freedom of religion and your freedom of press and speech, and the fact that the Senate makes laws for you and the president is there and all that. It applies way more than polynomials, all right? Can the Constitution be unconstitutional? No. Under what circumstances would there be a, where was I? Would there be a full-blown presidential re-election outside the election of every 4 years? None, Sarah. It's illegal because it's not in the Constitution. How did the Electoral College used to work? So Sammy, remember, when they made the Electoral College, back in the day, 1787, I was going to vote for Sammy Wood because Sammy Wood was smart. And I didn't know anything that was going on, but you did. And then you, for my state, were going to vote for 2 people for president. Whoever got the most votes would be president. Whoever got the second most would be vice president. Now, I vote for the people from the political party that I want to be president. So when I was going to vote a long time ago, I would vote for Sammy Wood because she was smart. Now, I'm technically voting for Sammy Wood and 9 other people because I know they're a Democrat or a Republican, and that's what they're going to vote. Juliana, departmental role is members of the cabinet run their department. They are in charge of everything in their department. Advisory, they advise the president. So the Secretary of Defense runs the entire Defense Department, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, all that, but also advises the president on issues of defense. Don't eat all that. Mom needs that for lunches tomorrow. Whatever. Is Congress not to know? Jack Glussman says, is Congress not voting on a ninth Supreme Court justice denying a constitutionally granted right to the president, or is it a loophole? Jack Glussman, the president doesn't necessarily have a right in this case. It's a presidential power or responsibility. I think Congress really, it's not spelled out. Congress can take as long as they want, which is what they're doing. Good question, Jack Glussman. My young historian. Older young historian. For our school, when hiring, we don't look at race, but can a public school decline a job because of race? Absolutely not, Cole. That would be against civil rights laws, which are in the Constitution, but not on this test. But that's part of the 14th Amendment and then the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Is there anything about the Bill of Rights that we might not need to know? Remember you talking about having the Bill of Rights. Will we or will we not? You lost me there a little, Ella. Can Congress impeach themselves? They don't impeach themselves, but they can kick each other out, and they have done that, Aspen. Well, we need to know what the specific amendments are. You're going to have them on a piece of paper. Louise, hi, Louise. I hope you're feeling all right. What's the format of the test? There's a whole bunch of different sections. There's, let's see, it starts out with a preamble section, and then there's multiple choice. And then there's a section about Congress, maybe not in that order. And then there's some headlines. Then there's the Electoral College. And then there's an is it constitutional? And then there is some short answers. Oh, and I have some fun pictures. You'll like this part, pictures on the test. Can't study for it, but you'll get it when you see it. It's fun. And then there's a part about checks and balances. So a whole bunch of different things. It's cool. What time we got? A couple more minutes here, guys. Can public schools not hire someone because of race? No. Cool. That would be, it's against recent civil rights law. When is a business employee choice considered unconstitutional, Maya? Do they get to choose if they want all men employees? Is this unconstitutional? Does it go against the freedom of association? That's a really good question. So I'm not a lawyer, although I think I am, but I'm not. But here's what I would think on that question, Maya. There is freedom of association, but a business would have to have a compelling reason to have or to limit their association. So I can't think of a business that would have a compelling reason to only have men or women, except for, this is going to sound funny, and I don't even know, can't believe I'm saying this, but I think there was a lawsuit a little while ago about Hooters, the restaurant, because a guy wanted to be a server at Hooters because you can make a lot of money there. And Hooters said, no, it doesn't fit in our business plan. And I think the court said it was okay. I don't know if that's the best example, but I swear there was an example. That was like 5 or 6 years ago. But anyways, businesses, public businesses now, they can't deny stuff about race and gender and things like that. There was a case last year when we were doing the Constitution Today where Abercrombie and Fitch denied a woman a job because she wore a hijab. And it went to the federal courts, and the federal court said, you can't do that. And Abercrombie and Fitch said, well, it didn't fit in with our style. Well, they can't do that. Like, could Abercrombie and Fitch deny me a job because I'm a chubby, middle-aged guy? That can't be the reason why they deny me the job. I don't think that would fly. But again, I'm not a lawyer. Asher, how many Supreme Court judges are there? Well, there's 8 right now, but there should be 9. Will Nick Fury recruit us to the Avengers if we pass this exam? Oh, man. He will. How does the judicial check the executive, Michael? The judicial can determine if the president is doing something that's unconstitutional, judicial review. And CBUSM, I'm not sure who CBUSM is. Who is that? CBUSM. But yes, judges also serve for life. Good answer, CB. Who's CB? I don't know. CB, tell me who you are. Yes, Ellie, Hooters is gross. Totally. Asher, Hooters was my Christmas dinner. You, dude, I'm so sorry about that. Drama Scorpion King. Who is the Drama Scorpion King? Grace, how many pages is the test going to be? Now, Grace, I'm going to tell you right now. Not something that you need to work about. I'm sorry, Grace, Meredith. I saw Grace, but Meredith, not something you need to worry about, because what if I said it was 82 pages, but there was one question and 82 blank pages to answer it? So don't worry about the pages. Before the exam, will you look through our binders to make sure everything is complete and organized? Actually, after the bar exam on Monday, you're going to turn in your binders, and I'll make sure everything is complete and organized. CB is the big Carlitos. Hi, Carlitos. All right, we about done here, guys? We kind of ran out of questions, I think. Now we're talking about Hooters too much and raunchy or saucy. Volley, I think Rossi, that's a new word. Let's trademark that, dude. So the legislative makes laws, executive enforces laws, the judicial interprets laws. Anything else, guys? Do we get a downgrade if everything is not finished by Monday? I don't know. Since when have you guys talked about grades in my class? Come on. Screw the grades. It's about feedback and hitting targets. That was a rubber band. Constitutional rights in public schools. You do have your constitutional rights in a public school. But there are limited more because you can't disrupt the learning process. So you've got, all right, we're not in school. You got your rights and you got the rights of the community. We're in school, public schools. You got your rights and you've got the rights to a non-disturbed learning process, which are a little heavier there. So like I could be in a, you as a 14-year-old, you could be over at Bayshore Mall, which is, from my house, is right there. You could be over at Bayshore Mall and you could be wearing a shirt that says, co-ed, naked, whatever. And you're going to be able to wear that. But or you can wear it at Summerfest, or you could wear it at a Brewer game or something like that. But at your school, your public school, you're not going to be able to wear that. Okay. Ella, could you actually keep this up as a real video? It would be nice to come back and review. Ella, you're not going to want to review this because you're going to go to bed because you know everything and you want to get a good night's sleep, and then you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to have bacon. I love bacon. You're going to have eggs and you're going to have waffles with blueberries or raspberries with a lot of syrup and butter. And you're going to come in and go, boom, Taft. You can't do anything to me because I know everything. All right. So let's close this off, guys. Okay. Yeah, don't worry about, there's no retakes, it's reassess. All right. Juliana, would it be unconstitutional if a modeling company decided on not employing somebody because of their weight or appearance? Oh man, I honestly think the answer is yes. Because weight and your physical appearance is not a protected status, but race or religion would be. So it's dicey. I don't have the legal chops to totally answer that. All right, guys, we're going, okay? Could a teacher punish you and give you a detention outside of school and said something rude and offensive? At university school, yes. Public school, probably not. All right. Asher, you are always smart. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I love all of you. All right. Ooh, Ella and Eve. I like the up emoji. Thanks. Bye. Thanks. This should be saved automatically, by the way, so you don't have to worry about anything. But it should be saved on this little channel. So that's, I think that's the way YouTube rolls. Okay. So seriously, gang, here's the last thing. Okay. Remember, number one, it's just a piece of paper and a test. It's not like, you know, life or death. Really, at the real bar exam, people freak out about it. This is nothing to freak out about. Second, you've got the Constitution in front of you. I hope you don't even touch it. Because if you know your terminology and things like that, and you can apply it, you should be okay. Third, it's just a single piece of paper. Well, it's a bunch of pieces of paper, but to go back to the first thing I said, don't freak out about this stuff. All right? It's not life or death. Should be kind of fun, I hope. I think you'll like it. Don't vote for Vermin Supreme or Ken Bone. Nico. All right? But as Ella Martin says, in the immortal words of one Ella Martin, get sleep, people. That's the most important thing. Don't freak out. Don't worry. Get some sleep. All right? Think of it this way. Don't think of it as a test. Think of it as a challenge. It's like that next level, that big level in the video game that you're trying to get past. Think of it that way. If you don't get past it, then you try again. Okay? All right, gang. See y'all later. Have a good night. Do not vote Vermin Supreme.